Hey folks, welcome to Sumit Academy. In this, my seventh video on terrorism, we shall study some of the important effects of terrorism. Besides the injuries and deaths immediately brought about by terrorist attacks, survivors often suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and major depression. The economy suffers an immediate impact due to infrastructure damage, but it also suffers long-term effects from trauma to financial markets, a rise in spending on security and defense, and the impact on supply chains of enhanced security at land, sea, and air border crossings. Equipping the military and police for retaliation and defense includes the passing of legislation that targets terrorists, deportation of unregistered aliens, granting of additional powers to police and military, fewer restrictions on the detention and interrogation of suspects, and possible direct military or police action to eliminate perceived threats. It also may include the creation of new agencies or enhancement of existing agencies to screen mail and other forms of communication and to guard essential national and local infrastructures. While the human cost is devastating, the economic impact may be larger than most realize. The following are the 5 ways that terrorism has an impact on the economy. The first, direct economic destruction. The most immediate and measurable impact of terrorism is physical destruction. Terrorists destroy existing plants, machines, transportation systems, and other economic resources. On a smaller scale, acts of terrorism may blow up cafes, churches, or roads. Large-scale attacks, most infamously the World Trade Center bombings on September 11, 2001, can destroy billions of dollars worth of property and senselessly kill thousands of productive workers. The impact of terrorism and war is always negative for the economy, and physical destruction is a large reason why. Productive resources that might have generated valuable goods and services are destroyed, while other resources are almost invariably diverted from other productive uses to bolster the military and defense. None of this creates wealth or adds to the standard of living. The second one is increased uncertainty in the markets. Even if you do not live anywhere near terrorist attacks, you might still be negatively impacted indirectly. This is because markets hate uncertainty and terrorism creates a lot of it. The financial markets literally shut down after September 11 and did not really recover until months after the 2003 invasion of Iraq. There is plenty of debate about the depth and pervasiveness of the actual impact on the financial markets. As the threats and publicity of global terrorism continue to rise, markets appear to be more and more resilient. Stock market indexes did not decline much after the terrorist attacks in France killed at least 129 people in 2015. However, the deadly attack in Nice, France in 2016 only added to the sentiment that France may be an increasingly unstable place to live and do business in. The real threat to global terrorism from an investor's perspective is about the broader picture, not individual incidents. International investment and cooperation are lower in a world full of terrorism. Third, insurance, trade, tourism, and FDI. There are two obvious industries especially vulnerable to the effects of terrorism: insurance and tourism. Not all insurance companies pay out in the event of international terrorism or foreign wars, so the impact is likely less than you might first expect. Nevertheless, terrorism is risky business for everyone, and insurance companies hate risk as much as anyone else. Tourism is even more concerning. In France, for example, tourism accounts for approximately 7 to 8% of total gross domestic product. There had been a 30% decline in visitors to France in the month after the Nice attacks. On a broader scale, terrorism hurts international trade. This may be due to imminent threats such as compromised trade routes and distribution systems, or because of the psychological and physical reactions to terrorism. This also means less foreign direct investment, especially in unstable countries. Fourth, war is the health of the state. There is an old saying in the study of political economy that reads, "War is the health of the state." It means that during times of conflict, reactive governments and nervous citizens are far more inclined to give up economic and political freedom in exchange for security. This could result in higher taxes, higher government deficits, and higher inflation. During wartime, the government often implements price controls and sometimes even the nationalization of industries. Governments are less effective at managing resources for productive economic activity than private individuals, especially when those resources are co-opted to achieve a strategic military objective. When governments militarize, the private economy suffers. And of course, many government controls stay in place long after military campaigns end. Fifth, increased nationalism and foreign skepticism. The final risk to the economy is political risk. This is already on display in the United States and Europe in 2016, where there has been a rise in skepticism of foreign cultures, businesses, immigrant workers, and refugees. Populist movements already won a victory of sorts in the United Kingdom, where anti-globalist and anti-trade sentiments helped pass Brexit. These kinds of major political events have an uncertain economic fallout on everything from currency to trade and diplomacy. Closing down borders to trade and immigrant workers reduces the size and diversity of economic transactions and limits productive resources. Economists as early as Adam Smith contended that the division of labor and gains from trade are limited to the size of available factors of production. Just as a single household or town is less productive if it only relies on internal resources, so too do national economies limit themselves to the extent that they wall off external producers and consumers. And that, the final part, my dear viewers, is the real effect of terrorism. Well, that's all from me in this, the seventh video on types of terrorism. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss out on my future videos. In the meantime, do write in with your suggestions to sumitacademy20 at gmail.com. Cheers.